and I would like to start off on, it's a very difficult subject, but I will start off on a positive note in the sense that I know the Minister's commitment to dealing with this, and he's probably trying to figure out the best way to deal with it. And I certainly want to afford him the space to get it right, because I would hate it to be done quickly and not get it right. And I have utter confidence that he will do his best. Whether it resolves the problem or not, time will tell. But bullying is a horrendous experience for any human being, let alone a child or a young adult, or a teenager or teenager. And the consequences can be lifelong and can last for the whole life of that individual. So as such, that's the seriousness of it. And they're the ones that survive. And unfortunately, we know all too many examples of young people who don't survive. And in one of the schools in my town, in County Clare, a young boy committed suicide 3 days before his junior certificate. I mean, it was horrendous. And the effect that had on the children in the class was horrendous. Now, I have to say that the HSE did move in, and there was counselling and all of that very quickly. So the apparatus of the state, to an extent at least, dealt with that emergency situation ahead of the junior certificate. His family have taken a very positive approach, and they've set up a foundation called the William Winder Foundation in memory of the child, and they're fundraising to make counsellors available to schools to help children in need. And they're using social media in a very positive way. And I have been at a couple of their functions, and I have to say that what they're doing is admirable. And indeed, there's plenty more organisations like them around the country that are doing very admirable work. What I would like to see, though, is a single or just a small number of national organisations, properly resourced and properly funded. There are lots of organisations that are set up in communities as a result of tragedies that are doing great work, but I would like to see a more coordinated approach, and that's something perhaps at government level that could be looked at, how you can utilise the fantastic work that's been done and bring them all together into one single thread, so as you're benefiting from the goodwill and the hard work and the commitment and the time of people who care in the various organisations around the country. And I've spoken to many of them, and I know how they care and their commitment. I'd also specifically like to talk about the effect that bullying can have on people with disabilities. Young people in school with disabilities who are trying to go through mainstream education face challenges without any bullying. But unfortunately, disability has a tendency to create difference, and unfortunately that difference can be rounded upon by other children in a negative fashion. I think that that's any study, national study or national strategy, has to take cognizance of young children with disabilities who are trying to go to mainstream education. We promote mainstream education. It is the right thing for people with disabilities. It's the only way to ensure people with disabilities are integrated. But with that comes a responsibility to keep an eye out, a special eye out, for young people with disabilities, particularly minor disabilities, because sometimes the minor disabilities can suffer much more so than those with more severe disabilities. I think that we have a situation where the internet is a new phenomenon, but that's all it is a new phenomenon. In researching, in my limited knowledge of these things for this evening's private members, I went on this ask.fm website as one of the ones that has been quoted in the media. And I saw for myself where it said, your identity will never be revealed. That was one of their selling points, ask.fm. Your identity will never be revealed. You can say what you're like, in the absolute confidence of anonymity. Now, there's something fundamentally wrong where that can be allowed. And I'd also say mobile phones and text messages are something that we need to look at. Any young person from the age of whatever up can walk into a mobile phone shop and buy a mobile phone for a tenner. They can buy a SIM card for a fiver. There's no registration. There's no traceability. They can buy multiple SIM cards if they have the price of them. And again, there's no traceability. Whereas if you're in Spain or other, and I know it myself because I experienced this in Spain. If you go into Spain and you look to buy a SIM card, you have to produce your passport. Your passport is photocopied, and at least there's a traceability in the number. It's a simple measure that I wouldn't imagine would take a huge amount of legislation to introduce. It could even be done through regulation, that at least there's a national database of mobile numbers out there. So it's another way of eliminating this unnecessary anonymity. So with that, Minister, I know your commitment in this, and I think the House, across the House, knows your commitment in this area. We wish you well. Anything we can do that's constructive to help outside of having debates, if there's anything you feel we can do that is constructive, we're there to do it, because this is a national problem that needs to be dealt with.